The difference between radical feminists and intersectionals. Hey, it's Prince of Queens, and I have been having a delightful time getting to know some more radical feminists under a certain nameless YouTuber's video that I was mentioned in, and I've been taking notes about the similarities and differences between radfems and the current fourth wave intersectionals, and something stood out to me. To say it in a sentence, the motive of the fourth wave intersectional feminist social justice types seems pretty obviously just to be to brainwash as many people as possible into believing that intersectional feminism is the way to solve the world's problems. All of them, with the added bonus of making sure females get all the credit for every step of potential progress that might come from this form of advocacy and activism. Whereas the radfems, in a sentence, just seem to be completely and utterly obsessed with rape. Like, seriously, it seems almost impossible to have a single conversation with these people about any human conflict without them somehow making it about men raping women, and I challenge you to try it for yourself. It's like they not only think that rape is the only important injustice that has ever happened in all of human history, but also they seem to think that every injustice that isn't rape had the root motivation of something having to do with rape. This is not to say that the intersectionals are not also rather preoccupied with talking about rape a lot, because, well, they are still feminists. However, the intersectional feminists get very offended by the notion that transgender women might commit acts of sexual predation, and the intersectionals will then go on to accuse people who merely mention sexual violence coming from transgender women of being transphobic. Whereas the radfems highlight instances of transgender women being violent towards cisgender women to prove that all male-born people are icky and abusive. They are willing to throw trans women under the bus just so long as the bus still comes along and mows down men with them. But it goes further than that. If a radfem brings up the notion of men being rapists, and you say in response, sure, a very tiny fraction of men rape women, but the drastic and gigantic majority of men abhor rape and protect women not just from rape, but from all sorts of dangers. When you mention the obvious reality that men protect women from danger, radfems, and even some intersectionals, might just flat out deny this. They will say that men do not protect women at all. They'll say first, maybe, "What do men protect women from besides other men?" As if men think collectively together like the Borg, and also the radfems are implying subtly or not so subtly that getting rid of men would be a nice way to make the world a better place, because, remember, much of the radfem ideology really is based around male genocide, though they usually know it's not a good idea to just flat out tell you that most times. More so, when you mention that men protect women from disasters, for example, and you bring up the notion of women and children first, many radfems will deny it and say that women and children first is a myth. They'll cite instances where people panicked so much that men forgot their chivalry and did not end up acting nobly by protecting the women and children like they were supposed to. Furthermore, when you mention to a radfem that men have literally fought wars over protecting women, starting with Helen of Troy, for example, they'll say that this doesn't count because the only reason this happened was because men view women as their property. Meaning, as far as I can tell, that radfems think that men see women as their personal rape dolls. And I say this not just because of the viewing women as their property allegation that they say about men, but also because numerous radfems have described marriage as a form of slavery. once again proving how incredibly entitled and ungrateful these women are for every act of kindness, sacrifice, and support men have provided women with throughout history. Also, these rad femmes are illustrating a profound female narcissism coming from these usually upper middle class white women who think their petty little problems are comparable to slavery. Some might say this ridiculous comparison is even racist. That all said, the root motivation for all of this is clearly a worldview that these women have, which is based on a foundation in the way they view men that assumes that all men want to rape women seemingly at all times. To these self-centered, delusional females, the only reason men would fight wars over women is not because they care about women's humanity, even ahead of their own, but because men supposedly view women as their property and want to rape them. I suppose even the men that don't have wives that go to war want to come home and find a wife to rape. Rad femmes think that men don't care about women during disasters all that much because they really just want to rape them anyway. And according to rad femmes, marriage is not about love, but about a legal way to keep a rape slave. I only wonder how they view me as a gay man, though I have heard rumors that they want to recruit gay men to help convince all men to be gay and all women to be lesbians, to save women from the constant onslaught of rapiness, which apparently never ends towards women. But hey, my knowledge of radical feminists is limited because these women obviously aren't particularly forward about telling their true thoughts about the icky mean males to the icky mean men like myself, so my main understanding of their beliefs comes from me purposefully making them angry to see what types of lunacy can come as a result. Once they get mad, they get stupid, and they'll forget to hide their irrational beliefs. That's all I have to say for today. Drop me a comment, help me out on Patreon if you think I seem cool, and stay tuned.